What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's military is holding some of its first public shooting drills with its newest U.S.-made tanks. Although these are separate from the annual Kuang exercises, they are still part of Taiwan's efforts to showcase its firepower in the face of increasing aggression from China. Our defense reporter Jaime Okan went to Hsinchu to see the new hardware in action.
One by one, U.S.-made Abrams tanks engage targets at sea at a base in Hsinchu, northern Taiwan. They're demonstrating the punch an M1A2T Abrams designed specifically for Taiwan can pack. Taiwan bought 108 of the tanks in 2019 in a deal worth $2 billion, part of a plan to modernize the armed forces. The country's president, Lai Ching-te, says they're key to a larger combined arms strategy.
我相信以你们实战演练的成果，一定可以让 M1A2T 战车在未来搭配无人机，或者是创新的战术战法，一定更可以落实国家的战略目标。
With much of Taiwan's tank fleet over 30 years old, there were concerns it couldn't hold up in a fight with China. But now, with modern U.S.-made Abrams rolling in, tank crews say they are finally getting the edge they need.
操作部分比以往的60A3来的方便、快速，且反应比较快。新式战车有辅助电源及冷却系统，那它可以在战车在防御的时候不发车，也可以提供战车炮塔及射控系统电力。那冷却系统除了可以冷却炮塔内部的机件，也可以提供人员的舒适度。
These live-fire drills are happening alongside Taiwan's biggest annual war games, the Hangguang exercises. But the military says they're not connected, as Abrams are not yet on active duty. Despite these shooting exercises not being a part of the Hangguang drills, the Army says it's still important to showcase these different kinds of capabilities, especially if they're going to show how to defend against a full-scale invasion. Military units have mobilized across the country for the second day of the Hangguang exercises. Thousands of soldiers and a wide range of hardware are practicing getting into position as quickly as possible if China attacks.
平时多一分训练，国军就多一分战力。国军多一分战力，国家、社会、人民就多一份安全。
With Hangguang in full swing, Taiwan is now set to conduct more complex operations, all with the goal of finding gaps in its overall defense. Gaps they hope hardware like the Abrams will eventually help fill. Fu Huahong and Jaime Okan in Hsinchu for TaiwanPlus.
Residents in 3 cities across Taiwan are practicing what to do in case of an air raid while they're out shopping for groceries. It's part of the country's largest annual military drills, which are shining a spotlight this year on urban resilience. Alan Liu has this report.
As Taiwan's largest ever military exercise, the Hangguang, gets underway, one focus is on testing the country's urban resilience. To do that, a rehearsal drill is being held at the supermarkets in downtown Taipei, preparation for a nationwide civil defense exercise starting on July 17th. The drill includes an air raid alert broadcast, running through evacuation steps, handling customers' reactions inside the store, assisting with emergency medical care, and finally, lifting the alert. This is the first time Taiwan is combining 2 major civilian exercises under its urban resilience concept. It is also the first time a major retailer joins the drills. The rehearsal began at 10 a.m. in 3 cities, Taipei, Taichung, and Tainan. The official exercise will take place later in July. At that time, stores will shut down, only resuming normal operations half an hour later. The government says this is to show Taiwan's determination to protect itself and its people.
prepared people cope better. That's an idea that we are trying to tell our society, but also want to send a very clear signal to the international community, is that Taiwan is very committed to our own security. So we won't back down in any forms.
As China's security threat to Taiwan continues to grow, people here say hardening the country's civil resilience is a good course of action.
有演习就是之后真的遇到事情的时候，比较不会惊慌失措，我们在边哦。
我是觉得防空避难针的政府要多出一点力量，老百姓才比较会安全。
This year's civilian exercise features a real-time, unscripted approach. That means the drills are not fully planned out in advance, and emergency equipment only arrives on site the day off. Evaluators then carry out random scenarios to test how the teams respond on the spot.
所谓的无剧本演习，其实并不是完全不知道要做什么事，而是今天就好像考试一样，你知道有国文、英文、数学，可是你不知道今天先考国文还是先考数学。
This year's Kuang runs from July 9th to 18th, the longest on record. With air defense drills requiring public participation, the exercise highlights the growing resolve of Taiwanese people to take part in national defense. Joseph Wu and Alan Liu for TaiwanPlus.
2 U.S. senators have introduced a bill to boost the security of Taiwan's undersea cables, calling for U.S. support for Taiwan against China's gray zone tactics. If passed, the bill would promote U.S. and Taiwanese cooperation in monitoring suspicious activities in Taiwan's waters. China uses so-called gray zone tactics to disrupt Taiwan's communications and security, including suspected sabotage of undersea cables. Since 2023, those cables have been disrupted at least 11 times. U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened tariffs on 8 more countries, with Brazil facing the biggest blow. Trump has sent letters to Iraq, Libya, Algeria, Sri Lanka, Brunei, Moldova, and the Philippines, announcing tariffs ranging from 20 to 30%. Brazil was hit with a 50% tariff. The Brazilian government says the move is unwarranted, as the U.S. runs a trade surplus with the country. It adds that the tariffs will hurt the U.S. economy. The tariffs will take effect on August 1st. As Trump announces more tariffs, given Taiwan's unique geopolitical position, we take a closer look at what this means for the country's economy and how local businesses can navigate these shifting trade winds. Our reporter Ai Chi spoke to Darson Cho, Director General of the Confederation of Asia-Pacific Chambers of Commerce and Industry.
Japan and South Korea are now facing largely unchanged 25% tariffs from the original April announcement. How should Taiwan view this, given how similar the economies are? And what are Taiwan's strengths compared to them?
那我们可以知道，就是说日本的首相跟韩国总统最近对川普的态度都是非常强硬的啊。那另外最近还有一个态度很强硬的国家就是巴西，结果巴西呢得到了这个50% 的关税。那因此我觉得说台湾的情况，虽然说经济情势这个整个结构跟日韩相近但是不必然会得到这么高的关税了而且在这个4月2号之后我们的团队一直在释出善意包括去美国投资采购美国天然气等等。台湾最主要的优势就是说现在是我们知道川普的这个关税措施那最主要是希望美国的再工业化那也就是说希望其他国家去他那里投资。但是台湾呢是全世界唯一的国家呢能够把这个半导体的高阶制程4奈米到美国投资的这样的一个国家。
What kind of challenges does Taiwan face from the tariffs, and what ripple effects might these have globally?
我们知道就是说很多的产品其实它的替代性还是很高那美国的这个进口商呢一定会要求这些供应链的厂商分担这个关税，那就会压缩到这些企业的毛利。那此外的话，如果说另外一个情境就是日韩呢接下来谈到一个比较好的关税，那但是呢台湾反而是得到一个就是说没有那么有利的一个关税税率的话，那我们相关的产品呢的这个市场价格的竞争优势呢也会因此丧失。为什么？因为日韩基本上是台湾在比如说像一些传产工具机机械主要的竞争对手。
How can Taiwan's government enterprises take a more proactive role in global trade moving forward?
台湾呢，必须要不断的提升在高科技甚至传产也是一样，提升在供应链的位阶那这个方法提升位阶的话，就是说让这个产品的这个替代效果降低啦在市场上的对我们特定的产品的需求会持续的增强那这个政府可以做什么呢？就是说让台湾呢拥有一个很好的一个研发的环境那另外的话，对特定的产业呢予以奖励就是这部分的话，政府可以鼓励企业不断的在这个供应链往上游移动我们讲说提升供应链位阶大概这样，就是说那个比较高阶的这个制程来保障这个产品持续为市场所需要。
That was Darson Cho, head of the Confederation of Asia-Pacific Chambers of Commerce and Industry. The issue of the death penalty is taking center stage as lawmakers grill President Lai Ching-te's second round of justice nominees. Prosecutor Tsai Cho-ming, the nominee for Grand Justice and President of the Judiciary, spoke to the legislature on Wednesday. He says he does not support abolishing the death penalty, which was ruled partially constitutional last year. Tsai is one of 7 people nominated by President Lai to fill Taiwan's top court. The court has not been able to hear any cases due to a new measure requiring a minimum of 10 justices in order to do so. The power is still out in thousands of homes days after Typhoon Dinas tore through central and southern Taiwan. A final tally of the damage might take some time, but the estimates are already steep. John Van Trieste reports.
The cleanup after Typhoon Danas is now a national affair. The military is helping remove the fallen trees that litter Taiwan's west coast from the center to the south. And some cities spared from the worst of the storm, Kaohsiung, New Taipei, and Taoyuan, have sent teams and equipment to help, too. There's still a long way to go before life gets back to normal at the center of the damage path. Even 3 days after the typhoon passed, some people are still stunned at what they saw.
来不及呀，就是先救车子，然后车子救完再救东西，根本来不及。它很快，我们这里像滞洪池一样。
Cars are ruined, basements flooded, streets are washed out, and everywhere there are uprooted trees and utility poles mixed in with rubble. Work to restore power and water has made major progress, with most of the grid back online, but around 68,000 homes are still in the dark. Many people around the region have felt despair these past few days.
无电啦，无电视啦，冰箱物件歹了了啦。中央甲市政府会来甲照帮助。
Some of the worst damage has been to agriculture. Losses across the country are expected to hit around $55 million. And it's not just crops. The many fish farms that dot the mid to southern west coast are seeing mass die-offs as they remain cut off from the power needed to run the oxygenators for the ponds. Some in the industry feel ignored by those who could help them.
好像就是弃婴一样，只是在旁边隔壁村庄作秀。我们呢，下一餐在哪里都不知道。
Schools and workplaces remain closed across much of Taiwan, even in some places not so hard hit. There are 2 problems. One is that schools or campuses didn't escape the storm's fury. By one count, over 550 schools and museums suffered some kind of damage. But secondly, the rains haven't let up, as unstable weather takes over where the typhoon left off. For much of Thursday, the entire south of Taiwan is under a rain advisory. For some residents, the worst of a week of extreme weather may not yet be over. Andy Xue and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave with images of the new collections at Paris Haute Couture Week, from bold black dresses to dreamy gowns. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. We'll see you next time.